Hey there, hi there, ho there. We're as happy as can be. Eddie, Bob, Julio. Another session of 3-ball walk. 1 week left in the season. About a week and a half. Some races closing up.
Yep.
The Dodgers clinched home field throughout in the National League.
Yes, they did.
They have to win. You have to win the first round to get home field throughout, though. Have you?
I didn't know that.
Well, if you lose the first round, you don't have home field, period.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so you
so
don't
it's
get
all
home
over.
field throughout.
Well, you can't lose and have home field advantage.
Right.
You're not in it anymore.
You're not anymore.
That's my
You're
point.
out.
So someone else will have home field.
Right.
Right.
So the Dodgers don't have it throughout, guaranteed.
As long as they win.
As long as they win.
There you
If
have
they
it.
win,
That's the way
yes.
it's guaranteed, you goober.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
they say they will have it
Victory.
throughout. No, not necessarily.
Well, they have it as long as they're playing.
You got that. I'll give you that.
As long as they're playing, they play at home.
And as far as the other races,
But for the World Series too this year,
what?
the World Series also, or is that the?
I don't know. How'd that figure out?
Is that,
How's that? Is that a
That
coin
is-
toss or what?
No, that is the best record now.
It is the best record.
The best record
there you go.
overall in
That's how it should
baseball.
be. Yeah.
Yes,
So
it's
do they
no
have
longer the All-Star game.
Do they have the best record overall?
Yes.
Well, let's see. Right now,
Yeah.
the
They're 101 and 57 right now.
Yeah, I think they probably got that one in the bag.
58-59. Cleveland and Houston. Last week, Houston was within 2. This week, they're within 1.
Yep.
It's going to be close.
It's gonna be close. It's exciting, you know.
And
Does it really matter?
Sure.
For the
you have to
AL
play the
home
Do you
field.
want to play? Do you want to play the Red Sox or do you want to play the winner of the Yankees? Or what if the Yankees pass the Red Sox? Then you could
Then you could end up playing.
the Yankees, thinking you were going to play the wild card, but now you're not. You know,
So it really, I mean, at this point,
you get home field.
you get home field and you play somebody. You get one more home game than the other team
Right.
does in the series.
Right.
Right.
However,
That is if you
finishing
win.
third, which is whoever will come out of the Red Sox Yankees, they will travel
Yes.
along with the wild card.
Wild card.
And they'll win. Whoever wins the
Which
wild
in,
card.
in the AL most likely will be Minnesota as well.
You think Minnesota's going to do
They're
it?
5 up on the Angels right now, so yeah, I think they're
They're
a pretty good chance.
Yeah,
to do it.
those other teams, Tampa Bay, they faded
They faded
quickly.
Yeah.
They faded over the past week. They have faded. So
Gave my
we're going to
endorsement.
have the Twins going to.
Either New York or Boston.
Yeah, and that they made up a game yesterday. The Yankees did on the Red Sox. So it went from 4 to 3. When we were here, it was 3. 3 weeks ago, it was 3. It's been 3. When they make up a game to come to 3, that means they were at 4.
Yep.
When
Yeah.
they lose a game, so I still think that little spread will stay 2 or 3 games. They don't play again for the rest of the season.
So you can't
For
make up
some
a lot.
reason. So you can't,
You had your shot, though. I mean, heck, you had 162 games
right.
to figure it out.
So the way it looks right now, the Twins will go to the Yankees. 1 game with the winner going to Houston or Cleveland, whoever comes out.
Now, let me ask you a question. When you have a wild card game like
and then the
that,
Red Sox will go to Houston or
Houston or
Cleveland,
Cleveland.
whoever doesn't come out.
when you have a one-game wild card, do you throw your best pitcher for that game, or do you?
You better.
Well, you save them, and then you can go home for the rest of this winter thinking,
I should have
What
pitched
would've
my best pitcher. Why would
Right.
you not pitch
No,
your
I
best
agree. I
pitcher?
agree. No, that was a debate on MLB Network the other night. And
No,
John-
it wasn't.
Yes, it
No.
was. Yes, it was.
no,
I'm
So who took the
John
position?
Smoltz said you should save your best pitcher
for game 1.
for game 1.
So that means if you're in game 7 of the NLCS, you should not pitch your best pitcher. Save him for game 1 of
But
the
he was
World
saying for the
Series.
wild cards. What he was saying for the
But
wild.
still, it's the
The
same
wild card
principle.
is a
Same
game
idea.
7.
It's the same. It's the
It's a
same
game
idea.
7.
You either win and you're
Yeah.
in, or you lose
Hey,
and you
game
go
7
home.
NLCS. We got to save.
Yeah.
you
We got to
for
save
game
you.
1.
Hey, Smoltz, you're not pitching today.
Yeah.
You
got
think
you for
Smoltz
game
would have
one.
gone?
Yeah.
You think
Game one.
Smoltz would have said, "Hey,
That's-
Bobby, that's okay with me"?
Yeah,
No.
He'd be
Absolutely
upset.
not. So if he said that, he is
No,
disingenuous.
there's no.
Brian Kenny. I forget who the other 2 guys were, but one of the 2 guys mentioned that that was John Smoltz's idea. That's what they should do.
I can't imagine.
I-
no,
No, I disagree completely.
it's a game 7
You got to win the game
without the first 6.
right.
If you don't win, you go home.
No,
And you
gotta-
don't ever want to go home thinking, I didn't give it my best shot.
And in this day and age, I don't think, and I'll throw something out. Throwing game 1 is as important as it used to be because no one goes 1-4-7 anyway. So if you throw that game, you're going to throw 3-7, or you're going to throw 2-5.
You're still going to pitch.
You're still going to pitch 2 games. Same as even the guy who starts game 1 will probably come back and throw game 5. So, so you get 2 games in the series.
But do you think it matters adjusting your staff or jockeying your staff? How much do you think plays into your success in the World
You
Series?
jockey right now as far as making sure you got your pitchers, but I'll tell you what, the other part, this one's pretty much decided.
If you're in the wild card race, it's different than if you clinch your division. If
Those
you clinch
guys
your
can-
division, they can set themselves up to pitch their best guy game 1.
Right.
But if I'm in the wild card race and I'm managing for the wild card game.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Well, that becomes your game 1.
That's your game
And
7
both
of
those
the previous
teams,
series.
both those teams, unlike the Cardinals and the Brewers and whatnot, who might wind up having to use their best pitcher on Sunday on the last game of the season. Not use him in the wild card because he'll have pitched on Sunday. The Yankees and the Twins now, for all purposes, can now save their number 1 for that wild card game. Because now they can jockey their pitching because their status isn't going to change. I really don't think the Yankees are sitting there going, we're going to burn our pitching for the wild card just so we can catch up with the
Red Sox.
Red Sox,
Right.
unless it becomes a reality.
Unless they win 2 and the
Red Sox drop
lose
2.
2.
Then all of a sudden-
now it's 2 games and now
But
it's,
if you're 3 games out going into the weekend,
no.
you're playing for you're saving that guy. You're not going to throw number 1 over that weekend, knowing you got a wild card game
Right.
coming up.
No, I agree 100%.
Kind of weird, but that's a weird place we are these days. Is
On the other side, like I said, the Dodgers clinched. I think that's pretty much set. The Nationals are number 2.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
That's not going to change either.
No.
And the other one is interesting. I mean, it stays 3 games, kind of. You got the Cubs, you got Milwaukee, you got St. Louis.
so they're 3 back. The Cubs are the Milwaukee's
Milwaukee's
3
3 back to the Cubs, right? And you look at the Cubs, or you look at the Brewers. I mean, not only are they 3 back of the Cubs, but they're only 2 back of the Rockies.
Right.
So
Yeah.
where we thought a month ago this is over and done.
Well, you guys still had, and I had them too. We had both wild cards coming out of,
completely
out
out of the West.
the Rockies shut out the Marlins yesterday.
Yep. Stanton didn't hit 1. He had a double. But
Nobody hit 1.
No.
That's why they got shut out.
Yeah.
But,
they're all doing. But
So Judge hits 50. First rookie ever to hit 50.
yeah,
Your thoughts?
pretty amazing. I mean, to actually have seen. I remember when McGuire, hit 49.
And took the last day of the season off for
I forget.
birth of a kid.
Something
or-
like that. I can't remember what it was.
Remember that?
Yeah.
No, McGuire had 49,
49.
and took the last day of the season
I
off.
think it was for the birth of his son, or it's
I don't think he probably regrets that.
No. It was one of those things where he, yeah.
And you look at Judge's 50, as hot as he was at the beginning. Do you think some people? Do you
He's hot now.
He's
again.
hot now again. He's still striking out.
The Yankees are hitting a lot of home runs.
Yes, they are.
Everyone's hitting
hitting a lot of
Everyone's
home runs.
But the
runs.
Yankees have been put offensively. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that get shut down now in the postseason?
No.
No,
Why?
I don't think
They're,
so.
they're still playing the same teams. They're still playing the same pitching. The ball's still the same ball, still the same bats, still the same parks. I don't.
So the pitching doesn't get tougher. I mean, Sale can go out there and give up 3-4 home runs.
Well, he can. He can also go out there and shove it and give up none.
Last week he went out there and shoved it, and last
And
night
week, what did he do last night? Did he give up a bunch?
gave up 4 home runs, 3 home runs.
I can't remember.
See, I think
They
at
lit
any
him up. They lit him
point
up.
you can have a night like that, and that's the difference in, the regular season. You have a night like that, you go, oh, well, I have a night like that. You have a night like that in the postseason, and then suddenly now you're down 2 games and you're playing for the last one. And I think that separates the great players, the great teams, from the pretty good players and pretty good teams, the guys who can handle that kind of pressure, knowing
So-
that I don't have another time. I can't go out and be bad.
So
this
you're
week.
not great unless you, Greg Maddux, Clayton Kershaw, postseason losing records. They just didn't have it.
I think they are one of the best pitchers to be not very good in the clutch. It is what it is. If you can't, if Kershaw has a 2 ERA or whatever it is lifetime for the regular season and a 4 point whatever ERA
Maddox.
in the Maddox the same way in the postseason, then clearly there's something in your head, not in your mechanics, because your mechanics don't go away between the last day of the regular season and the first day of postseason. You're playing the same teams. You're still playing the same teams. You probably pitched against them already that year. So it's, to me, it comes down to can you handle the moment, and can you go out there and do your best when it is the most critical time. And some guys can do it better than others. Sorry, it's just the way I feel.
It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, the Braves, being a Braves fan my whole life, and of course the 90s when it was gravy most of the time. But you look at somebody, I've heard people say Maddox couldn't pitch in the clutch. You're like, they won a championship with Maddox. I mean,
Did he ever win a Game 7?
I don't remember who won Game 7 for the Braves that year, to be honest.
Did he ever lose a Game 7?
Smoltz was the Game 7
winner, yes, yeah.
And that goes back to they would go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go 1, 2, 3. So Maddox would always throw 1 and 5. Glavine would always throw 2 and 6. And Smoltz would throw 3 and 7.
Yep.
And some of that has to do, same thing you see in college baseball. When everybody talks about the Friday night starter being your best pitcher, and the Saturday guy is getting all the publicity because the Saturday guy is like 14 and 1 or something, and the Friday night guy is 8 and 7, and you're like, well, what? He's having a bad year. No, he's pitching against their best pitcher as well.
Right. Oh no. And if you look, and I actually did that one about 2 years ago. I started looking at the scores. Friday and Saturday aren't that much of a difference. You have a lot of 2-1.
Saturday,
3-1.
Sunday, huge.
Sunday games in the SEC around all of college are 8 to 9. Yeah.
Well, you think about it. Your number one starter is your number one starter for a reason. Whether it's college, high school, college, pro, wherever, they're the best pitcher you got. And the second guy is a little better than the third guy, usually. Third guy is a little better than the fourth guy.
If you have a 3.0 ERA and you pitch on Sundays, you're going to go 10 and 1, 10 and 2 with a 3 ERA.
In college.
If you do that on a Friday night,
right,
you're a 500 pitcher.
That's interesting.
It clearly is a lot of times, I think, you're obviously playing the better team. Sometimes it may have to do with your starting Game 1 on the road.
Now a lot of that in baseball, especially after the first series, I don't think you necessarily have your best guy pitching Friday. It's just he might have pitched that last game that clinched it for you. Well, guess what? He's not coming back until Game 3 of the next series. And so that doesn't take place in baseball's postseason as much as you'd think it does.
What doesn't take
saving your guy for game 1's going to be tougher because they're throwing their best guy, we're throwing our best guy, or whatever.
I don't know. Well, that'd be an interesting to look at because I think most managers these days.
I'll give you right now. We just discussed it earlier on.
Right.
Are you throwing number 1 on the wild card? Or are you going to throw him?
Right, but like, okay, Cleveland's going to play who?
Right, because Cleveland has it clinched. But a lot of times, those teams are fighting right until the end, and their best guys go in Game 2. And then after that first series,
yeah, but
did one game end in 3? Did one game end in 4? Did
True.
One game go 7?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends how long it went, and all of
a sudden your other guys
you go 7, and guess what? Your number 1 guy ain't coming out Game 1.
Well, that happens.
That other team's been sitting waiting for you.
That happens in college too. At the College World Series, when you get to the 3 games set at the end, you don't have your rotation set.
Did you play that last game a lot of times?
And did you have to use your pitching staff, your better pitcher, to get there? And then you try to just go for it. I mean, Faedo didn't pitch final game, didn't pitch in final
They
series.
did that, and switching the subject, we have an audience of a high school baseball player here, and coincidentally, high school, and they didn't change it. They already had their meetings for high school baseball in Florida. You play 2 to 3 games a week. You need a pitching staff. All of a sudden, once you get out of districts, it's 1 game every Tuesday for 5 straight weeks. Okay? So basically, if you have that one stud kid that can throw 98 and All-American and whatever, it guarantees you a berth in the Final Four. I mean, now you get to, and it happens to be at JetBlue, which is in Fort Myers, home of the Boston Red Sox during the
Huge
spring.
park, which makes no sense.
What?
It makes no sense to play there.
What, the high school
Yes,
championships? Why is that?
because you're playing in a professional park.
Right.
So kids, if you built your team around kids that hit home runs,
You're
at
not
Buchholz High School, for instance, with a short left field porch, if you got a lot of right-handed batters because you hit a lot of home runs,
Now you're
hitting pop outs.
Now you got a big green monster there.
You're hitting pop outs.
Yeah. No, but the whole point is
Time's up.
now.
Go ahead, your point.
The semifinals are on a Tuesday. The championship games are on Thursday. Guess what happens in the championship game?
You pitch your number 2 guy.
Who hasn't pitched in a month?
Yeah.
And it's it's completely, and the scores reflect it. The semifinal games are
Really the finals.
Are the best games in the Florida High School Baseball Championships.
So your best player's going to pitch that day.
And they were talking about changing it.
They probably should have. If you're watching it, you should change that.
And there's nothing wrong with doing that 2 games where you got your number 2 guy going, but the previous weeks you should have done the same thing.
Yeah, you could shorten the season by 2 weeks.
You know.
All right, we got to go. Speaking of shortened time, we need to shorten our time here. We'll be right back for part 2.